Welcome back everyone to a new day of daily updates across all of the major dollar pairs. Starting off with DXY on the daily time frame, we can see we've had that break of structure towards the upside, and this is the current swing range that we are trading within. Now, as a result of the last few days of news for the US dollar, it has seen a lot of weakness come in. On Wednesday, we had the FOMC, which we expected. I think a 30% rate hike was priced in, which is usually quite high before a FOMC meeting. So obviously that 30% had to get priced out immediately, which is why we've seen the initial sell-off. And then I think a lot of traders were hedging on what the numbers would have come out yesterday. And what we've seen softer inflation numbers than what was potentially anticipated, likely due to oil dropping to pre-war levels at the beginning of July. And then we also had some weak growth numbers in the US, which also puts the likelihood of rate hikes on the back burner. Although we did see some sort of hawkish tones in the way that they spoke about it. If oil continues to rise, then rate hikes are more likely. But they are data driven, and if the data doesn't suggest a rate hike, they won't hike rates, and therefore we are seeing this sell off in towards the downside here. So for me now, what I just want to do is just follow this momentum. Obviously, you don't want to be chasing the headlines and chasing the moves. But if we go on to Euro USD, what we can see is we've had that daily break of structure on the daily time frame. We've got the swing high and we've got our swing low. Now, we were saying last week before we've seen this internal trend fail that it makes sense to come up and take some points of liquidity following this break of structure here. So therefore, this news announcements could be that catalyst to see some higher prices, at least in the short term. Although we have made a connection with this supply zone, and we could see a little bit of a push back down, maybe a connection towards this demand zone that's currently in control to then push price back up again. Now, with where price is, I really do think that we are likely now to take this high, as there is nothing else here that says to me we will reverse from this point. If we go down though onto the 4-hour time frame, we are still swing bearish. We've had our most recent break of structure here. We have our swing high and we have our swing low. Now, from a technical perspective, usually we would look for this 50%, which we have. We've got a point of liquidity. We've got now, if we were to see an order flow switch, which for me is this demand zone here that's in control, if we were to see a switch that, we could then potentially look for a short position. However, as we just said, looking at the daily, it is potentially likely to see some higher prices, and therefore this high itself of the 4-hour becomes the liquidity that we would be looking at. So for me, I'm probably not going to be entering any trades today on Euro USD. I want to see what price does. I want to see if we get a retracement here and see if we get an immediate bounce. That to me says momentum's high and we are likely to take out this.